We're both seeing the same thing here, right? Yep, it's real. In February of 2023, we'll be seeing the release of Dead Island 2. I can't believe it either. For years, there has been a heated debate on whether we would even see the release of this game, whether it would even see the light of day, and for good reason. This was announced all the way back in 2014. Yager Studios, the primary developer, got a good 3 years in, and then they were dropped by Deep Silver, leaving them to pick it up with a new developer, which was Sumo Digital. And then radio silence. From, I think, about 2015 up until right now, there was no announcement on Dead Island 2 whatsoever. There was no press releases, no gameplay, no trailers, nothing. I think at one point they kind of briefly said, yeah, Dead Island 2's into development. It's still in development. We haven't canceled it. And that was it. I would constantly get advertisements while I'm scrolling Facebook or something showing that I could pre-order Dead Island 2. And this was like back in 2018, 2019. And I'm like, this thing still exists? You may notice that this still retains the colorful California setting that the original game was announced with. And this is where things start to get really interesting, because a few years ago, about 2 years ago to be exact, a leaked build surfaced of Dead Island 2. I believe this predated the Gamescom gameplay slice that we were shown from Yager, so this is a fairly old build. But we got into it, had some fun with it, and it gave us a glimpse into what Dead Island 2 would have looked like through Yager's development. There was a lot of cool creative elements, and one of the most interesting things that I was left with from that build was the idea that this had a lot of potential. The creativity in the melee weapons and the gunplay and the way you could dual wield different things was really interesting, and it had a lot of promise. It was a game that I really wanted to see, and unfortunately when Yager was shelved, I didn't really have much hope for the game. But now we obviously have something officially concrete. The game is coming out, and this is a brand new trailer showing off what looks like a brand new game. The reins were taken over by Dam Buster Studios. On the surface, this may seem like a brand new studio that you never heard of, but don't downplay them because they actually got some chops in the If you look a little deeper, you can see that they went by a few different names. They had their hands in Homefront: The Revolution. They dealt with some of the original development of the Time Splitters games, fantastic games, and they did the porting for Crysis over to the PS3 and the 360. So they're not newbies to game development by any means, by any stretch, but they are newbies to Dead Island. And while this seems like an all-new game, it still retains the same setting, so the only thing that was left for me to get curious about, and I'm sure a lot of you guys as well, is the question of whether or not they're still using the same assets or the same original build that was shown off with Dead Island back in 2015. So I took it upon myself to boot back up that leaked build of Dead Island 2, and well, I couldn't find any matching assets. Shocker. Now again, this leaked build that I'm looking at is almost a decade old at this point. I don't know, at least like 6-7 years old probably, so there's probably no resemblance to this to the current game whatsoever. But I was just curious to see if there was like any map geometry that I could match up, and I really can't. We get shown very little in terms of specific gameplay. They're very intentional with what they want to show, and I couldn't really match up anything with the leaked build other than general locations that look similar. I'm sure that they're using some of the asset library that was accumulated throughout the years of development with this game from Yager Studios. I can only imagine they're not going to waste that, right? But I'm having a feeling that this is going to be a whole different game. The gameplay trailer itself looks pretty damn promising, and if this is all in-game, the visuals look pretty good. I can see some interesting looking stuff going on with the melee weapons and the throwables and the special abilities. The one main takeaway I have with this trailer is that it looks fun and colorful and creative like the original vision for the game. And I gotta be honest with you, man, that would be a breath of fresh air right now with all of the mediocre games we've been getting and the lackluster zombie games we've gotten in recent years. I guess other than Dying Light 2, that was a pretty good one, right? This just looks like it brings something fresh to the table if it's done good. It seems more often than not when the project is in development hell for years on end, at this point almost a decade, and it finally gets released, it usually either doesn't resemble the original vision or it just doesn't hold up well at all. And I'm really hoping this game isn't jank, but I got a good feeling about it, man. I just feel like the announcement of this was extremely intentional. They just came out the gate with it right out of the blue. They said, all right, here's the gameplay, here's the release date. No fucking around, no finicky stuff. They actually gave us a concrete release date with some gameplay in the trailer, and that's big. That was very intentional. So I'm optimistic about it, man. I'm not saying go pre-order it, because I don't pre-order games, and I don't think it's a good idea that you do that until you actually know a lot more about what's going on with the game, as proven by Cyberpunk. But I definitely got this one on my radar, man. I think it's a win-win situation for all of us, to be honest. If the game's good, then we got a really good, fresh game. If it's bad, we got an interesting doc we can make on the game's development history. But I don't know, man. We just got some really good-looking visuals here. We got some character interactions. I think there's going to be 6 playable characters, according to a sentence in an article I read, so take that with a grain of salt. I mean, dude, it looks like they got a lot going on here. This isn't just a trailer they cooked up yesterday. I think that they have had a lot of solid development time, and they're probably releasing something big. I know we shouldn't get our hopes up over this, but fuck it. If you want to ride the hype train, then do it. I'll be looking forward to the game's release, and we'll be talking about it then, so stick around for that. If you want to see some Dead Island content, I've covered Dead Island 1. I've covered the leaked Dead Island 2 gameplay build. I think I might cover Dead Island Riptide, just in celebration of this thing. That gives me an excuse to finally play that game. Let's have a discussion about Dead Island 2 in the comments. What's some key things you've been seeing from this trailer that have you interested? Are there any parallels you can make from this to the original announcement? Love to read your thoughts. Drop them below. That's about all I got. See ya.
It's fucking dangerous, so I don't like to go. But if you want, I take you there.